Good evening and welcome to the first video on my brand new YouTube channel, Middle-earth Visitor, all the way from here in sunny UK. So, as a little introduction to The Lord of the Rings Online, I am going to demonstrate how to create a new character using the LOTRO character creation tools. Now here I am at the introduction screen when you first log into the game, and I've got a couple of characters already, a couple of low-level characters on this server. Now on the left hand side down here you'll see a little button that says new character. So if I click on that, we now have all our races and classes available to choose from. Now if you have a free-to-play account, you won't quite have as much unlocked as I've got here. The only character race I don't have unlocked at the minute is the Stoutax, which is currently, as of January 2020, only available through the Minas Morgul expansion. As a free-to-play account, you would have the Man race, Dwarf, Hobbit and Elf available. The High Elf and the Beorning are available as separate premium purchases. So if I take a look on the right hand side, you will see the classes available. So as you can see at the minute, with a Man, you have option to be a burglar, captain, a champion, a guardian, a hunter, a lawmaster, a minstrel or a warden. So you've got quite a few choices as a Man. The race you choose does affect the classes you can choose. For example, only men and high elves can play the captain class. If I was to choose a dwarf, as you can see on the right hand side, the number of classes you can choose from has decreased quite significantly. So you've got a champion, which is down as a basic difficulty class. This is a high damage melee class, one of only two classes that can dual wield two matched weapons. So they are really good at area of effect damage. They also deal quite high single target damage. The Guardian, this is your classic tanking class. Anybody who doesn't normally play MMO games, a tank is designed to be as tough as possible, take all the damage for the group, so that other classes can concentrate on killing stuff. So you've got your Guardians. They're the only class that can use heavy shields, which are the strongest shields in the game. Then we have the Hunter, which is your classic DPS, or damage per second class, long range, high damage class. Got a couple of useful abilities. Hunters can travel around Middle-earth a lot more easily than other classes because they have lots of different travel skills. They can also take their fellowship with them. Fellowship in LOTRO is a group. Then we have the Minstrel, which is your classic healer class. Now, in Middle-earth lore, in the Silmarillion, the world was created by the Valar using a complex musical theme that was wound around and changed in lots of different ways, and eventually created the world. So in Middle-earth, music is a very powerful force. That's why in Tolkien's books there are a lot of songs. Now in LOTRO, you use, instead of having health, you have morale, which essentially represents your ability to keep on fighting. So the minstrel's job is to use a variety of war cries and songs to inspire the fellowship to be able to succeed in their mission. In LOTRO, you don't die; you are defeated when your morale is at its lowest ebb. So that's the minstrel's job. And then the Runekeeper is the final choice available to dwarves. Now, this is a bit of a controversial class. You could say it's a bit lore-bending, because it's a casting class, and you know, in Middle Earth as we know it from the books, there are very few characters who could use magic. But nevertheless, we have the Runekeeper, which can be a damage dealer or a healing class. It's actually a premium class as well. So if you're a free-to-play account, that's the only dwarf class that you can't play. That's unless you've bought the Moria expansion or bought the class separately. Down the left-hand side, we have various racial characteristics. So dwarves, for example, have bonuses to their might, which is an ability to deal damage and block attacks, and their vitality, which gives them more morale. Now, racial bonuses are fairly insignificant when it comes to picking a character. They have a bit of an effect at lower levels, but at higher levels they're quite insignificant. The 1% common mitigation for the dwarf is a bit more significant because it's a percentage-based bonus, so it will scale with your level, whereas the others don't. However, it's not a deal breaker because a lot of enemies deal different kinds of damage, so common damage gets more rare as the game goes on. Dwarves also have a penalty to their agility because obviously they are a little bit less agile than other characters, and a penalty to their fate. Again, tiny differences you won't really notice when you're playing. Interesting choice for dwarves. They have bonuses to their morale and power regen in combat, but penalties out of combat. So you know they can keep going for longer in the fight, but they take a lot longer to recover out of the fight. And finally, dwarves can use one-handed axes regardless of what class they are playing. Okay, so for the purposes of this brief video, I'm going to choose dwarf champion, I think, because that's essentially mirrors the role of Gimli in the Lord of the Rings, and in fact he is inspired. The champion class is inspired by the character of Gimli, as it says at the bottom of the text on the right hand side. So we're going to continue with our creation, and here we have our appearance editor. Down the left hand side you can choose where your character is from. So in the case of the dwarves, you've got 5 different places. The Blue Mountains are far to the west of Middle Earth, to the west of the Shire. This is where Thorin was living. Thorin from The Hobbit, before he set out on his mission to recapture Erebor. And you have the Iron Hills, which is far to the north and east of Middle Earth. This is where Dian Ironfoot was from, who fought at the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit. They have the Lonely Mountain, which is of course Erebor, the mountain in The Hobbit that the dwarves and Bilbo were seeking to reclaim from the dragon Smaug. The Grey Mountains are another dwarf stronghold to the north, and the White Mountains are to the south on the borders of Gondor. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to choose the Lonely Mountain. I think I quite like that hairstyle. You can change around the hairstyles a little bit. You can obviously choose different ones, various different things, but I do quite like that first. Oh gosh, got a slightly raster dwarf there. Not sure about that one. Oh blimey, that one, he looks like an Osmond. No, I'm not sure about that either. Could go for, let's go for that sort of shorter cropped cut for his hair, I think. Beard, we can have a bit of a play around with the facial hair. I think that first beard is my favourite, to be honest. No self-respecting dwarf goes out without a beard. Incidental detail. You can obviously choose male or female characters for the game, but dwarves only have a single they don't have, well, the fact they're genderless in the character selector, because as you may or may not know, female dwarfs look identical to male dwarfs. Unless you're a dwarf, you can't tell the difference. So you don't choose your gender if you're a dwarf. Of course, if you're in the game, you can choose to role play as a male or female dwarf. That is entirely up to you. So interesting things on the side here. You can lock in if you like your hairstyle and your facial hair. Let's have green eyes for our dwarf there. You can lock these things in. So then, if you like, you can randomize the rest of your appearance with the button on the bottom right to have a bit of a play around with the character. Once you find a characteristic that you like, so let's say I want my bushy eyebrows there that he just had, so I'm going to keep those locked in. I'm going to randomize it again. I found that quite useful when I can't be bothered to edit the whole thing. Okay, I quite like that big nose, or with that big nose, or lock. So, okay, then I'm gonna, I think, make him a little bit older. So I'm gonna choose some grey or white hair, and because he's gonna be a champion, I think I'm gonna make him a bit stockier. Could make him a bit slimmer, but I think he's gonna be a big, sort of muscly champion fighting at the front line of the battle. Okay, so here we have our finished dwarf. Finally, we need to give him a name. Now, it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to find names. The game's been around for more than 12 years, so a lot of players have come and gone. So you have to play around a little bit with the name generator. You can randomize names. So, for example, we've got one there. If you're not sure how to make a name, you've got the choice of randomizing. Also, down the left-hand side, there's a guideline section for creating names, giving you common name beginnings and ends, etc. Okay, so I'm going to try an interesting name. I quite like. I'm quite a fan of names that sound like something else, but are still convincing in Middle Earth. So I've gone for Grumbly. Let's give that a go. Name is taken. This is exactly what I was saying to you. So let's try something a little bit different. Hurrah! Success! We now have a level 1 dwarf champion ready to enter the world. Thanks very much for listening. If you found this video useful, then give it a like and let me know if there's anything you'd be interested to see videos on in the future. Thanks very much, and have a nice day.